Hello everyone, this is John from RPGs and More. And in today's episode, I thought that we could create an NPC together. And therefore you can actually see my process from start to finish. And we can kind of discuss who this NPC will be as we go through the process together. All right. Oh, that is my cat deciding to bounce the stand around. Wanted to see what it's like. Let's give a good cat in the picture. Here we go. There he is. There's my handsome boy. Look at that. Okay, there's your cat moment. We also refer to that as the cat tax. Okay. So first, we're going to go and we're going to get all the little supplies that we need to get this done right. So we're going to use the... Nope, I won't need this book. This is the Back Swords and Bucklers book, but I'll use that for something else later. I don't need that right now. I do need the, and I just threw it, I need the Knave book for those little descriptor lists. And then we also have a quick name generator, which I will reference as well. That's part of the Back Swords and Bucklers Book 2 Tavern Trawling book. We're going to use that one to see if we can get an inspiration for a name after we've made the character. But the deal is that if I don't like the name that it rolls up, then I'll come up with something else instead. But we'll start there. Okay, so then we have my pen and my notebook. So we're going to start with NPC. All right. And then we go to the Knave, beginning of the Knave book. The traits, and now we need a 20-sided die. So let's put the pen up here so it doesn't get lost. And then we grab the 20-sided die out of my dice box that a family member got me. Very, very wonderful gift. I really appreciate it. Okay, so first roll. We are rolling for the physique of this NPC. And that is a 14. And a 14 gets us flabby. All right, I'm already starting to get some images about this person. So they are a flabby person. Flabby. And then what is their face like? Well, let's roll it and find out. Oop. Da-da-da-da-da-da. All right, that's number 5. And 5 gets us delicate. Interesting. So it's a, you know what, I'm going to re-roll that because I'm trying to imagine someone who is, well, okay, no, got it. All right. I'm thinking the old, you have old porcelain dolls that represent nice and pretty ladies from the past. And sometimes in times past, noble women would be, or noble men would be a little bit on the flabby side, but also has some delicate features. So, all right, never mind. So delicate features. Flabby, but delicate features. All right, next one. And that was an 11. So an 11 in skin gets us reeking skin. Ooh, they smell. All right, reeking skin. So they're not very clean. Okay. Not very clean at all. Bit of a smell. Next one is, we got a 1. Uh-oh. You all know what 1s usually mean. Let's see what a 1 gets us for hair. They're bald. All right. Reeking skin. Bald head. All right. Next, we're going to roll for their clothing. And that was an 8. Their clothing is filthy. So filthy clothes. Next we will roll for their virtue. A 16, which means that their virtue is merciful. But I've already got someone in an NPC in this game that has the virtue merciful. So I want to re-roll that and see if I can get something else. That was a 19. 19 is stoic. I already have someone who has a stoic virtue. Let's try something different. There's 20 different virtues, really. We shouldn't have to repeat too many of them. All right, number 4. Courteous. Okay, so they're a very smelly person, but they're very courteous. All right. Next, we get a 5 in vice. Cruel. They're courteous, but they're also cruel. Okay, next we get a 2. All right, and a 2 in their speech is the next category. Speech is going to get, that's booming. I've already got someone with a booming speech. Let's re-roll that. All right. 5. Drawling speech. Oh, they've got a bit of a drawl, huh? So drawling speech. All right, we'll roll for the next category. And we came up with an 18 in their background. They're a smuggler. All right. Smuggler. Okay, and then their misfortune. And that is a 4. So their misfortune is condemned. We've already had someone who's condemned, so we're going to roll that again. And instead we get a 3, which is a blackmailed. Okay, all right, that's new. They're a smuggler and they've been blackmailed. Okay, and now we're going to do the one last roll, and that is to see how they are aligned towards the player characters. If they kind of agree with the player character's faction, if they're neutral, or if they are against the player character's faction. All right, and that is a 13. And on this chart, a 13 means they're neutral. So they're neutral towards adventurers. Okay, now the next thing we're going to do is the brawn and presence. All right, so I'm going to now take a 6-sided die, and I'm going to roll that once. And this will give me the brawn of the character. Well, here's the deal. Actually, what we're going to do, I'm going to change that a little bit. Because we're rolling it for an NPC, and this NPC may not be very high up. I'm thinking, because NPC is basically going to have a total of 6 between the two scores. So let's use a D4. All right. And let's see what they get with that D4. And that is a 4. All right, they rolled maximum for brawn. This is a relatively, they're flabby, but they're strong. So brawn of 4, which means their presence is 2. All right, and that gives us an idea of what this character is like in their physical sense. So from there, we move on to skills. And I've got to figure out what kind of skills this person might have. So let's review. They are a flabby but delicate-featured, reeking person with a bald head. Filthy clothes. They are very courteous, but also rather cruel. Drawling speech, been a smuggler, also been blackmailed, and they're neutral towards the adventurers. I'm thinking that this is another noble. And this is a noble who is, this is probably the other noble that's in the prison, because we had 2 nobles in the prison, right? The reason why I say that is because they are very delicate featured, okay? But they're also, they're very courteous, but also cruel. And I like the idea of a courteous but cruel noble, someone who is used to hiding their evil attitudes behind the veneer of civilization. All right. So they're going to have, first, we know that they're courteous. So they have to have the skill courtesy to a certain level. It's got to offset their presence of 2. So let's put that, we're going to have 6 points to spend. Let's put 3 of them into courtesy. All right, now what other things is this person probably going to be good at? Judging by what we've rolled up so far, I'd say that they're cruel, but what are they cruel about? They've been a smuggler, so I think they're going to have some stealth. So let's give them 2 points in stealth. All right. That leaves us with 1 point left to spend, unless I want to start making them more famous. So that last point, I'm thinking I'm going to put that last point into arms because they are a noble. But I don't get the impression, as much as they are a strong and robust person, I don't get the impression that they're that much of a fighter per se. So maybe this is the kind of person that, with most of the kind of fights that they pick, they usually can get along with just basic knowledge of weapons and their sheer bulk and size. So they might be a bit of a bully, a courteous bully, but a cruel bully nonetheless. All right, but then here comes the question of, do we want to make them more famous than the average person? I'm thinking actually no. I think that this one, at least, we're going to leave at the standard level of 500 fame. They're out there. They used to be a bit of a smuggler, but they got caught. And so now they got caught, they got blackmailed. That blackmail will probably relate to a possible quest that they might give the player characters to either exonerate them or get them, prove their case, basically, or even take their case before King Arthur because they're afraid they won't get a fair case at with this local baron, or the baroness in this case, because the baron's not home. That's a possibility. But we're doing the same thing with the other characters, so I kind of want to differentiate a little bit. Let's see. Well, while I think about that, why don't we roll up a name? This character probably has a noble name, but what if, in addition to that noble name, they also have a more rough and ready name, kind of their secret name that they use with their criminal buddies. Okay, so to get that, we're going to roll out here again. And I need my handy-dandy 20-sided die. So first we're going to roll using the Backswords and Bucklers. Nickname. That's a D20. I rolled a 4, which gets us Drunken. Okay. I think this is going to be a male. So we roll again. Another 4. Drunken Charles. And then a surname. A 5. So we have Drunken Charles Groston. I think I'm going to lose the Groston because that doesn't quite fit. Doesn't feel right. But Drunken Charles. And with a fame of 500. So Drunken Charles, this could also be someone that could potentially get released and join the party as sort of a servant that needs to be redeemed, sort of thing. So I'll write that down. In prison, in the castle prisons. So he's in the castle prisons, willing to go with the player characters, willing to travel with anyone who can rescue him. All right. And then he is in prison because he was caught smuggling. What was he caught smuggling? I think he was caught smuggling weapons. He was caught trying to smuggle weapons to the Orkney Islands. In my mind, the Orkney Islands are somewhat associated with Mordred and Mordred's forces. So that's kind of what I'm going with. I know because if memory serves, that's kind of where some of the Arthurian legends place that family, which is also the extended family where, if memory serves, where Gawain comes from. So Gawain is sort of related to all that mess. And so is Arthur to a certain extent. Well, obviously, I mean, his mother came from that family, and so does his sister. Oh boy, it's a lot. But anyway, so I kind of like that connection, and I'm going to hold on to that for right now. That might change in the future, but for now, there is that connection to Mordred, and this is, he was caught smuggling weapons towards the Orkney Islands, probably was doing so because of blackmail, had tried to smuggle due to blackmail. So Mordred's people had blackmailed him. Okay, and there we go. So he's in prison because he got caught smuggling, probably was running stuff up the coast, and then his ship, his boat going aground. The boat that he was on, he's actually not a sailor, or maybe he is. So, okay, we're going to add 1,000 fame, and he's going to have ship handling of 1. All right. So 1,500 fame and ship handling 1. So He was taking his ship up the western coast of England, or Wales in this case, western coast of Wales, towards the Orkney Islands with a shipment of weapons that was destined towards the families connected with Mordred. Excuse me. And was caught because he was doing so without the proper licenses and registration, blah, 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 or whatever information that he needed. The weapons weren't supposed to go there. They were supposed to go somewhere else. Therefore, he is guilty of smuggling them through some sort of line in order to get to those forces. So I kind of like that. This trying to be clandestine, got caught, was being blackmailed for something. Don't know what he was blackmailed for yet. I want to leave that a little open at the moment. Maybe that's something that could come out during, if he ends up joining up with the player characters, maybe that will come out during the story. And so I'd like to leave that blank for now because I don't think that detail is relevant to why he's there. We already know why he's there, because he was smuggling. So that's how I make an NPC. That's a basic idea. Now, the last thing we're going to do is we're going to bust out the Prince Valiant storytelling game book. And we're going to do that because we already know that he is a cruel person. He has that trait. So we've got to find out how many points, how much fame is cruel worth. That is worth 50. So traits, cruel, 50 points, which means that he enjoys inflicting both mental and physical pain, loves violence, and perhaps even torture. He's not a nice guy. All right, but then his other thing, his other virtue was that he is courteous. So, is courteous on here? Chivalrous? Cautious? No, courteous is not a trait because courtesy is a skill. All right. And that is a fully fledged NPC that now joins the roster of what we are creating, what I am creating for this Sandbox / West Marches campaign that I'm working on. I hope you enjoyed a little sight into how that process works and how I use it. I hope that you had a wonderful evening, and peace be with you. Bye-bye now.